This computer. Okay, welcome to our seventh meeting. It's going by the year quite fast, so we want to follow a bit the same approach as we had last time. So a couple of discussions. I think that's where we get most of the value, and give you a short update on what we're doing on the Institute front. So first, Robin has kindly invited all of you into his latest book presentation. It's super interesting. Already Amazon bestseller, World Best Bank. So it's about the DBS case study in Singapore, and so you can see there. I don't know if you can click on the slides, but basically, I think he sent an email. You can connect. It's happening next week, next Tuesday. I think 1 hour after this. So you're welcome to join, and it's free. So I hope you can join us and learn about the digital transformation, the work that Robin has been doing. On the community, we keep growing. There is 250 members already, almost 67 SIPs, and there's 4 new ones, which is great. You can see the success rate. So it's 13% failure, which is telling us that the exam you need to prepare. So that's what we want. And then Deborah Gree, Refalmi, Francisco join as well, and Shem. So congratulations to all of you, and you will have received, or you'll receive the certification like that. So well done. We keep growing, and I think I guess when you have a certification, what we all want is that it's recognized, and recognition will happen when companies start embracing this as part of their curriculum. So we are in talks with a couple of big corporates who want to introduce the course and the certification for their employees, project managers. So I hope that will just increase the visibility and the value of the course and what we're trying to build here together. I think you've gone through the course, so you see it has quite some content and thinking behind, but we also want that external recognition that APMG provide us as well, but we want that to be in the marketplace. We hope that in the future, when companies hire, they will see this as a key advantage to SIP. We are just finished a review of the course content, a light one. So we'll be adding and changing a few elements, adding a bit of new case studies and a bit more material around sustainability, diversity, digital. So we'll put that all into this member page so that you can get that material as well for you. And then I wanted to have 2 discussions today. One is, remember last time we launched this poll and we had quite some interest around that. And the question was, are today's executives prepared to be effective project sponsors? And you can see here the answer. Only 8% of the 450 people that voted say yes. And this is, I don't think we are very surprised, I guess. But it's just very clearly that 92% of executives are not prepared to be good project sponsors, which is insane. It's crazy. No wonder 70% of the projects fail. So I wanted to have a breakout discussion to see beyond just training, but is there something else that we can do? Trying to go about beyond just basic, yeah, we need to give them training. Yeah, but these people don't have time. So what can we do to address this gap, which is super relevant, and I would say it's urgent. Are you doing something? And let's have a first talk about that. Then I have another topic for afterwards. So if that's okay with you, I will put you in a breakout room. Take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the group. I think that's a good opportunity to network a little bit and then try to address that. What can we do to close that gap with the sponsors? Beyond just training, of course, we need to do that, but how can we engage them in training? Do you know any tricks? What are you doing differently? Okay. So we are 16. I will put that breakout rooms here. And I'll give you 15 minutes for this one. So you have about 5 minutes to introduce you and meet or reconnect with the people in your room, and then try to answer. What can we do differently? What can we knew this, we knew that sponsors, they need to be, but we failed on that. So what can we do differently? And when I talk about project sponsor, I would say also strategy implementation sponsors. This is very closely related. So here we go. I will put let me see, assign automatically. I'm not going to do it manually. And there's 5 participants per room. So that gives you good. So 15 minutes, I'm taking time here. First breakout. Welcome back. Thank you. I joined a few of the discussions, very, very interesting. So let me start with the group of Anthony. As you were talking, Anthony, what did your group discuss and any new insights?
So I was talking with Matthew and Nguyen from India, and what was interesting was, well, the first part was I was asking if the question was relating to sponsors for significant transformation or change, and we all agreed it probably was.
Yeah.
Then what Matthew raised, which I think is really key here, or part of it, was the thought of the sponsors about risk, and two sides to risk: personal risk, you know, about the project being successful or not successful, and business risk. Now, we all know that, you know, business risk, they're going to be, you know, we've got to make this decision, we've got to go forward. So then if you take that to the piece about Nguyen raised, which is, have the sponsors got the skill set to see the transformation and basically take it through implementation? And I think what we kind of all agreed was that perhaps they don't all have that skill set, which is the gap we're talking about here. And my thought was that with regards to the risk, both personal and business, most of the time, most people's default is to just go with what the organization knows. So I'll trust someone in my organization who I think will deliver a good project. And if they want to appoint an external consultancy to help, or if they want to choose their own team, they'll still go through that piece. But there's no prompt, if you like, for them to go, do you know what? I need some training. Do you know what? I need to really upskill our team. And I see this on large change and transformation projects that I've worked on in the past. A lot of the teams on these projects I've ever worked in, I've been in management consultancy for over 12 years, been doing it 12 years after that. Most don't even make sure the team have got change and transformation skills and training and accreditation. So you're thinking, why would the senior person get sponsorship training and accreditation? Nguyen or Matthew, just come in to mop up on what I've shared.
I think you have covered it very well, Anthony. So you've summarized it, everything that we spoke.
Matthew?
Yes, no, I'm really, I'm aligned to what you said.
Thank you, Anthony Group.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matthew.
But I see that what you said, the leadership level is must be also true at the global level. Yeah. And then this is where I believe that there's tools and that can exist to scale those capabilities to achieve projects and to develop a culture of efficiency and execution on strategy implementation.
Thank you. Let me go to group 4. Gerald, Jit, Nigel, Shona, some of you want to share, one of you?
Nigel, would you like to share? I was going to ask you,
Okay.
Nigel.
Thank you. Well, we started off by looking at the whole lack of focus on benefit. Shona said that a lot of times people say yes to change, and she gave an example where people were constantly saying yes to change, great idea, but not making the link to, okay, we're going to invest in this change. What are the benefits we're going to realize? And I also pointed out that a lot of technology projects get caught up in the technology and lose the focus on why they're implementing the technology. And Gerard gave an example where he was working with a global law firm, and the focus there was on introducing the elements of sponsorship and change management. And he deliberately said he wasn't training them. He was introducing the concept, because the whole thing is, you come in to train me, I know everything kind of stuff. So that is also part of the problem. And just before we jumped off, I kind of was about to raise the culture element, because a lot of people rush in without taking the time to understand the culture of the organization they're dealing with. And I just want to make a plug for Gillian Tett's book, Anthrovision. I just finished reading it, and it's a fantastic exploration of the importance of culture and the need for us to think laterally, bring in diverse points of view as we implement any change. Because unless we do, the possibility of, or the probability of success is going to drop drastically. So that's it.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you mind if I follow up on two things? Okay, so basically, when I saw the initial assessment that you did, I think there's an assumption that the executives should know, and I think we have to walk in with the assumption that they don't know, and also with the assumption that when you've gotten to the point where the beginning of your title says chief, you're not looking to be trained by anybody unless they're, a seven-figure coach, right? Someone who's going to really take you to the next global level. So for someone who's a staff person to come in and basically introduce this concept, we really have to come in with the mindset of, I'm going to share with you some of the core principles that will allow you to make better decisions once we implement this new project process or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of the gist of what I was talking about there. But as far as the culture, it's interesting because, and I wrote this book working with a client, and it's called Culture is the Bass. And if you think about music, all great music has great bass lines in any culture, right? I did my master's in music. In any culture, whether you're in sitar in India or just African music or Caribbean music, all that has great bass lines. Well, every great company has a great culture. But I think, and the reason why I say culture is the bass, not just the bass that you play, but the base of your project, is that if you don't consider the culture of the organization, even out to the audience, which is the peripheral end user, and how they look at adopting your technology, then when you introduce some new form of process or change, they will not accept it, because you haven't considered if they're willing to even accept it. But by understanding where they are and then slowly moving them collectively and making them a part of the process, because that also means they have to buy in, and people only buy in to what they have input into. So
thank you.
Just some thoughts.
I would just
There are ways that exist.
I would just put something else in there.
Go ahead. Yeah.
When I hear about culture, and I think I did put it in my suggestion, Antonio, to consider for future Sept syllabus, is global culture and different countries and cultures. And many of us here will have worked internationally. That is a huge factor in change generally and the role of project sponsor, I think. So, I mean, it's a whole topic in its own right. I'll just lay it out there. Different global cultures would have different views on this, I think.
Yeah, it's a great topic and I love it. And Nigel, if you can put in the chat the name of the book. I've already put in the chat the link to Robin's presentation next week. So if you have not registered, just go to the chat and there is a link. I will copy paste it straight again so that you come. Sorry, that's not the right one. I don't know where it came from, but you will see the poll of the month is about culture, so it's perfect timing too. And it's a good friend, Erin Meyer from Sept. She's a guru in global Sept. She's a good friend. You can research her. She has a lot as well on culture map, and now Netflix, no rules. I could bring her one day to our call. I'll see if she's available. Thank you. Next.
You have also Bjarne and Fleming on culture.
Yeah, of course, Bjarne, good friend. Let me ask the other two groups. I will go to with you in the next questions, but do you have anything to add from what has been added already?
I'll add something here, Antonio.
Randall, yes, to add something.
Yes, I've been banging my head against trying to get executives involved in professional development for 35 years. And they're very interested in sending their people and building capacity. But when it comes down to them changing and them doing things differently, they have a whole different attitude. You know, I mentioned in our group this summer, I had the opportunity to take a course on being on private sector boards. And it got me thinking, you know, boards of directors have fiduciary responsibility. And I'm wondering if there's a way to reach the board community and helping them understand the cost involved in 70% of projects failing and getting at that root cause. Because CEOs, oftentimes top people with chief in their name, they just don't want to listen. They think they know. So who is it that could influence their behavior? So I throw that out there.
Great point, Randall. I completely agree. I did some work on an article on the role of the board and less about risk management, more about strategy implementation. So I completely agree. I'll see if I can find the article to paste it here. Thank you, Randall. The other group has anything to add?
I think I'd like to just mention about the skills that Anthony spoke before. And I think those skills must be part of the curriculum, even from the high school. I think you can use project management since the early days of our lives. And so sometimes we work in projects in the school, but you don't understand. We are just moving around a team, trying to figure out how to find something or do something, but you don't have the tools necessary to do a project, even in the high school, and even worse in the university. Many formations don't have project management in those curricula. I think it's very important. And other thing that we talk about was that many sponsors on the projects in the companies came from sales, from areas that did not explore projects. And these they don't understand the whole ecosystem from that project, from inside and outside the companies. That's, I think, another problem. So you can said about culture, you said about leadership, you can say about communication. Everything is necessary to have to reach a good position. And also that Nigel said about benefits. Sometimes you do a project just for the service or product, don't see it after that. I think it's necessary to understand what's the benefits of those products or service you reach, for why we will reach and who you will reach that. that's what you talk about. And then also there are difference between the private sector and the public sector. That's another interesting point to discuss after all.
Thank you. Thank you, Andre. Always very useful thoughts. My thinking on the topic very early is I agree with everything that you said. I think my question is, we know these people miss these skills, but yet they make it to the top. So yeah, I just don't know what they make it to the top and the PMs don't make it, or the strategy implementation. So maybe with the change of the world now much more driven by change, we need different type of people. But indeed, I just put here on the chat an article I wrote for the National Association for Corporate Directors, following a bit Randall point on what is needed. But I want to go quickly to the next question because it's related. I see I have here first the poll. So as you can see, the poll this month is, it's does culture still eat strategy for breakfast? And I put that this morning. There is already quite a lot of activity going on and point of view. So let me just put this link here in the chat so you can reply. But there's already like 5,000 views and people are voting. So curious to see what you say, and we'll discuss it next time we meet on Shona's point. And I think culture is so relevant. But I want to go to the next question and then we can have a bit of Q&A. So it's about competencies. So it's linked to what we were talking before it. What are the top 3 competencies required to excel as implementation professional or as executive? And in which way they're different? Because we are talking about leadership. We were talking about leadership before, but in which ways are different? What is really what needs to be different that we were not doing in the past? Or is there really a radical change, or is more an evolution? I'll keep you in the same room so you have already a bit of a connection there. And the same, let's take about 12 minutes and then we have a bigger discussion with the group to try to come up some connecting thinking. I see Joe is there. Hi, Joe. Good to see you.
Antonio, sorry I've been late. The call I had before ran over. So
it's okay. Oh, this is voluntary, and I've put you in another room.
Okay.
So here we go. I'm going to pause the recording and I'll just stop by. Welcome back. Let's get everybody together. In seconds. How was your discussion, Randall, Dimitros?
It was great. We have some sharp young men in this group.
Great.
It was great as well. We each provided one skill, so we have like a nice picture that we can share.
Okay, welcome back, and let's see what you came up in your groups. Dimitros was talking just right now that their group had prepared a small picture, so let's start with you guys.
Sure. I can briefly mention the 3 skills we mentioned, and then if Randall or our other colleague can join. So first of all, we discussed about the root cause analysis as a necessary skill one needs to have, so they are more effective in understanding behind the phenomena. And then the other skill is having a broad intellectual background, being interdisciplinary, knowing and being able to communicate with people from different departments within the organization. And the third skill is being proactive, being agile, and that is something that, as Randall suggested, is something that can be it can be increased through being better at scenario planning and being able to see different possibilities happening or not happening and being creative with that.
Thank you. Interesting. Anything to add? The other teams, what are the skills?
Yeah, I think from our side,
Ismail, go.
We looked at about three: digitization, agility, and innovation. Maybe to speak a bit more to agility is to say that we ought to be need to have that ability to adapt our strategies. Because back in the days you could literally have your strategy not live, just rigid, but now with the volatile environment that we are operating in, we're required to be able to constantly adapt our organizational strategies in order for us to remain afloat. And then we spoke of innovation, to say leaders in organizations need to be very innovative as to how they manage their strategies. We need to be open-minded with regards to how we problem solve, things like design thinking or system thinking and so forth. Those are things that we need to be able to incorporate in how we deliver our strategy. And then lastly is the aspect of digitization, to say nowadays, everyone is going digital. Therefore, there is quite a pressing need for leaders to find ways to digitize their organizations as a way of delivering their strategies.
Thank you. Very good. Any other topics that you want to add, or skills or competencies?
This is Chite. I mean, I guess I just wanted to kind of highlight the design thinking element and that innovative and bringing that kind of innovative view into the organization, but engaging and empowering people with that, getting more people involved, getting more voices heard. It's not about the role anymore. It's more about what people can bring. It's more what people see in processes within customer journey, and bringing all that together. I think is really vital. So I'm a big fan of design thinking, and I've actually used that approach in various organizations. Fantastic skill. Yeah.
I think Jared, for us, raised the whole idea of competent humility and the ability to really shut up and listen and let those down in the trenches show you what they're doing and why they're doing it. Because a lot of times we make assumptions about what people are doing and why they're doing it. And the leadership is usually so far from the reality that what they think is happening is really not. So I want to thank Gerald for that competent humility and the ability to listen.
I love it.
I love it.
Anything else that you like to add?
I think competent humility also means to me that you've got leadership and a vision, but there's an understanding you can't do it without others. So you're asking others to help, and that gets the buy-in. It's sort of an implicit thing that you're not actively going out to try and get buy-in, which often fails, but by saying we can only do this together and we need the complement of skills that everyone has and knowledge. I think it's really powerful. I love that phrase.
And I think, and this is Gerald real quick, I think to follow that up, it does require genuinely listening, that when you do say, I need your help, that you then need to close your mouth, grab a pen, and genuinely listen to the team and adopt and take in what they bring forward and let them know that this is our effort. Then when people see that, then everyone gets engaged.
Yeah, love it. I've put 2 links on the chat. Once again, the poll of the month, and then I put a newsletter I have now on LinkedIn every week. I think many of you have already joined. we discuss this type of talk. It's good to have this type of chat. One point for me that maybe was not addressed, but in the past 30, 40 years, the revenues of a business were mostly brought by the operational people, sales people, and project strategy will bring the midterm. In 3-5 years, yeah, we'll with this merger we'll make so much, or with this, and I think the way things are moving in terms of becoming more project driven, I think the project and change and strategy will need to take much more ownership of delivering revenues or impact if you're in the nonprofit, which so far project managers have not done. Revenues, that's not my problem. And I think if we want to step up as implementation specialist, we need to say to the executives, to the board, saying we're bringing 50% of the numbers next year. And that's a huge change. I don't know if we are prepared. I don't know if this community of project managers is prepared for that, because we've been working on uncertain benefits. Sometimes we're never there when they should be there, and that's a big change. I think 50 to 70 to 80% of the revenues will need to come from change, strategy implementation, project implementation, and it's not in 3 years, it's in 6 months, and it's in 9 months, and it's in 1 year. So that's a big fundamental shift beyond all what you say, which I completely agree. And with that note, we're coming to an end. We can continue briefly or chatting, but if you want to stay a few more minutes, we can stay 5 more minutes. If you need to leave, you can leave, of course. Thank you for being there. It's always a pleasure to see you and learning. Every time we meet, we learn. The next meeting is on the 4th of October. But thank you, really interesting contributions.
Thank you. I have to drop off.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I had a great time.
I have to do.
Take
Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye-bye.